Ever since the early days, developers have been cleverly incorporating brand names into their games. Okay, maybe some weren't so clever, but it's a phenomenon that has continued through the years.
It has to be unobtrusive. You know, that mellow yellow banner just happens to be like in the background and you just went cruising by it and maybe you saw it and maybe you didn't, then I think that does lend some credibility to the game.
One of the most blatant recent product placements was the Dole Banana in Sega Super Monkey Ball.
Super Monkey Ball and Dole started a partnership in Japan. Dole was launching a new luxury banana in the Japanese market. Now, the Sega team was able to get stickers on the in-store bananas that promoted our new game. And in return, we obviously gave the Dole logo a lot of placement in our product.
While it can seem forced at times, brand names can lend realism to a game.
If you're driving around in Crazy Taxi, you don't want to go to the chicken shop, you go to KFC.
What's the value of these kind of product placements?
When you go through the exercise of adding up, you know, how many times is said gamer exposed to that banner ad over the course of, 3 hours on a daily basis over 3 months, the impressions get into the millions.
Even though there's a possibility for this kind of brand exposure, the cash is not exactly rolling in for developers.
Most of the times you see a product in a Sega game, no money has changed hands.
A lot of it is in promotional barter exchange, tagging on each other's television spots, if that's the case.
There can be dangers when sponsors get involved with the game development process.
If the sponsors get too strong and start to demand to change the elements of the games, then that would be bad. Getting money from sponsors will enable game developers to make good games, so that's good for the users. As games get more realistic, then these sponsorships will get more popular.
You will see, cases, probably in the not-too-distant future, maybe in the next 3 years, where someone will click on a banner, it'll stop the gameplay, and they might be taken away to that company's website. Not a game I want to play, and not a game we want to develop.
These video games are products of passion of these game designers and their teams. They really consider themselves artists.
There's a creative control issue that when you start involving consumer packaged goods companies and their marketing people, not all developers and producers are warm to this concept.
Was there resistance when I went to a developer and told them I could pay him over $1 million to develop a game? No. They don't usually resist that kind of thing.
$1 million seems to have bought a new game called Darkened Sky. The Mars company enlisted Simon & Schuster Interactive to make a game based on Skittles candy.
That, my strange young sapling, is a Skittles.
As games become more and more real, ultimately, hopefully, you'll see as many real products, you'll see as many real brands in the game as you do in real life.
While the number of product placements in games may increase, let's hope there are some things we never see.
Fasten your seatbelts. We're headed to the intersection of commercials and consoles. Take a ride in Sega's Crazy Taxi. The object of the game, drive your passenger to familiar places like the local Tower Records or Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I think it makes it more realistic, like Crazy Taxi. If you're going to someplace real, then that's kind of cool, I think.
Realism is the name of the game for designers. They've been adding logos to race cars and billboards to stadium walls for years.
Most of the times you see a product in a Sega game, no money has changed hands.
But that may be changing. Game companies are looking for ways to profit from all the product placement. In Sega's Super Monkey Ball, the object is to try to rack up points by getting bananas. But these aren't just any bananas, they're Dole bananas. Dole did a cross-promotion deal with Sega to hype its new line of luxury bananas in Japan.
There are times when we will pay to put a very eagerly desired product into a game, and there are other times when people will approach us offering to pay either promotional support or cash in exchange for placement in a game.
Sega is even trying more blatant commercialism on its own home turf. The countryside for its role-playing game Shenmue is peppered with Coke machines. The U.S. version doesn't have any, at least not yet, but it may be too attractive for advertisers to pass up in the future.
When you go through the exercise of adding up, how many times is said gamer exposed to that banner ad over the course of 3 hours on a daily basis over 3 months, playing a game, the impressions get into the millions.
Ubisoft's chief marketer thinks interactivity is key.
The payoff that the in-game partner is going to be looking for is like, hey, beyond the game, what else can we do here? I want to be able to, either get a coupon or have some sort of interaction that involves consumption of that product rather than just being, a banner that I'm zipping by on a snowboard.
The question is, will the crass commercialism alienate gamers?
I don't mind them putting advertising if it means they're going to be able to reduce the cost of games. But I don't want to pay $50 for a game and then have to look at a bunch of advertising.
Sooner or later you turn them off. Similar to like when they do web banners on websites. Sooner or later just like tune them out. And it just becomes unnoticeable after a while.
Unless, of course, you want to tune them in. Hold on to your hats. We all may be in for a wild ride.
Another direction gaming advertising may be going: online games made specifically for that product. In the past year, General Motors and Ford have created web-based racing games where their new models are the cars driven by the gamers.